3 days to go. Who's going down? Despite Derek Fox's masterly match winner last Sunday, Featherstone must still win their final game to be safe. Bradford Northern, their points difference wrecked by Wigan, need to win their last two to have any serious hope. But in this closest relegation battle for years, Salford can't afford a slip, or they could be down along with their final opponent Swinton. And Hull's collapse after looking so impressive 3 weeks ago means they're desperate for 2 points today against, of all people, their city neighbours in the Humberside derby. It's a much happier story in the home dressing room at Craven Park. Confounding all the experts, Hull Kingston Rovers are on the verge of the Premiership, an heroic achievement in his first season as Robins coach for George Fairbairn.
The lads have worked very hard at the spirit in the club, the whole club, right round from the academy side, alliance side and first team. We've worked very hard on that, and apart from that, their professionalism. They've come right through shining on us, and it's been proud to be with them for the season.
Rovers' success has rubbed salt into their neighbours' wounds. Hull FC's coach, Noel Cleal, so recently a hero, was sacked on Monday. Crusher, groomed by his fellow Australian predecessor Brian Smith, departed in far less glamorous fashion than his mentor. At the start of last year, Smith exchanged salutes with the adoring thousands on the Boulevard terraces. Cleal, despite delivering the Premiership, Hull's first major trophy in 5 years, paid the price of 3 crucial league defeats in a row and fired his parting shots at a hastily called press conference in a local pub.
They've acted for themselves and put themselves in a no-lose situation there. If we could beat the next 2 games, they're geniuses because it was my fault. They win the next 2 games, they're geniuses because they've sacked me.
So Cleal's assistant Steve Crooks picks up the task of trying to keep Hull out of Division 2, and he selected this team for the derby. Andrew Mighty gets a first-team chance in a three-quarter line in which David Ronson is also recalled. Ian Stevens is back at standoff, releasing Steve McNamara to swap the number 6 shirt for number 11 as a second-row partner for Russ Walker. He was given a rest for the 36-20 home defeat by Widnes last Sunday. Rovers bring in Graham Cook for his first start since October, with Julian Barkwith switching inside to the exclusion of John Lydiot. Wayne Parker is back after missing 6 matches. The only other change from last week's 22-10 defeat at Salford is Zook Emma's return after an ankle injury. He's alongside young Sean Ho on the bench. Well, later we'll see today's other vital relegation battle, Bradford against Swinton. But now let's concentrate on this crucial derby. Rovers going for the Premiership, Hull FC for survival. David Watkins and John Hell.
East has been meeting West on Humberside since 1899, and this is the 189th derby match between Rovers and Hull. David, it's got added spice today.
That's right, local derbies don't always come up to expectation, but George Fairbairn is shrewd, clear objectives, a top 8 place. Cleal has gone, results have been disappointing, and Steve Crooks knows that Hull have to win.
Correct, and it's the Robins, Hull Kingston Rovers in the famous red and white, and Hull FC in their not-so-famous white colours these days. It's sort of a purple and white rather than the old black and white. That missed out to one player and brought on Paul Speckman, the loose forward, and a penalty given there. There was a swinging arm. And I must say, David, I was in the whole dressing room sort of an hour before kick-off, and it was very, very tense in there, as you would expect. It's a big, big day for these players.
Well, I can imagine it was, but if we just watch this incident now, McNamara, he's been sent off once for a high tackle. He nearly catches him again. The referee has called him out and penalised him, and Hull Kingston Rovers have now deposited into touch.
Well, a slight bounce of fortune for the Rovers as well there. The ball came off the boot of Richard Gay, and so it's going to be a scrum at which Rovers will have the put in, and it's Wayne Parker at scrum half. Good to see him back. When we saw him dislocate his shoulder at Featherstone Rovers a few weeks ago, I didn't really think we'd see him in action again this season. Fletcher coming into the line and trying to break a tackle, can't do so, and look at the number of Hull men around him, 4 of them there to effect the tackle.
Well, it's desperate stuff. After having a fairly good start to the season, Hull have really slumped, and this is pressure. It really is pressure now to stay out of that second division.
The ball is put to ground and picked up by Andrew Mighty, whose impressive performances in the A-team recently have won him a recall in preference to Neil Turner. Big crowd here. They're expecting their biggest of the season. That was over 7,000. They're expecting over 8 for this match. Hull certainly sold all their allocation of tickets. Andy Dannett restored to the side, opening things up a little bit. And in at the tackling for Rovers, as he always is, Paul Fletcher. He's had a wonderful season. Mackie to kick. It's straight into the hands of Fletcher. The Rovers fullback rode the tackle and got Bright Sodji moving. And Sodji, that was an interesting move by him, having come so far in field from his left wing position. Keen to get involved.
Well, he's a very elusive player, and he really is a star on the horizon.
Parker. Now it's Des Harrison, the elder of the two brothers in the Rovers side today, Chris being the other one at number 8. Here he is, Chris Harrison. Huge figure of a lad. 6'6", but all the same, they've bundled him out. Doesn't matter how big you are, if the tackles are good enough, you go down.
Well, we saw last week, the tackling not good. Too many people do go high these days. It's nice to see people, one going in, one going high. The low tackle to stop the man going forward, the high tackle to stop him getting rid of the ball. John
Connolly of Wigan might have a job on his hands today. Always an intense atmosphere in the Derby game. Penalty for Hull. Paul Eastwood finds his touch. It's Hull on the attack with Mackie, very much the hub of the attack as well, and Dannett comes romping onto the first pass. Second play of the ball, Lee Jackson here. McNamara switching play along with Mackie. Now Stevens, the longer ball is good, and Sharp has got Gay moving towards the Rovers line. And the double tackle effected that with Sodji involved. Stevens in there twice. Now it's McNamara forced to the tackle. Peter Spring, the Australian. It's been a good start by Hull, and they're setting themselves up once again here. Andy Dannett going forward. They've got to really string the passes out as Greg Mackey's in control. His little chip forward has found Ronson. Ronson 5 yards out, and Ronson turns, and he's in. The first try of the day. It's gone to the Aussie, David Ronson.
Hull plays it wide. Mackey changed the tactic. A chip over the top. Ronson takes it on full, knocks over the first tackler, spins in the tackle, and incredibly crosses the line.
Hull is always relying on the trusty left boot of Paul Eastwood, who is approaching 300 points for the season, so his contribution has been immense even in this hard time. It's from an angle. It really is a dream start for Hull. 6 points on the board already. Very, very good kick.
Hull previously played it wide. Mackey has now changed the tactic. The chip over the top, which Ronson catches on the full, spins out of a double tackle and crosses the line.
Now Parker angles a kick, but it's perhaps too straight, and Richard Gay has to collect. They should pin him down behind his own line. Oh, he's done really well there.
Well, that was superb. He didn't quite know whether to let it go dead then. It wasn't going to go, he thought. He picked it up and was suddenly confronted with 3 Hull Kingston Rovers players, and he got right over the line.
Hull are pinned on their own line at the moment. Resolute tackling from Rovers. This is their forte. Sharp breaks the tackle. Excellent work once more from Sharp, and Stevens gets his man moving down the right-hand channel. That's David Ronson, the Australian. And that again came because Sharp was stretching Rovers.
That's good, confident rugby, isn't it? Because, I mean, there was a man there. He knew when he threw the ball back Sharp then if somebody would be in the position to back him up.
Not a bad kick from Greg Mackey either to follow it.
Well, tons of enterprise early on by Hull. They moved the ball from their own line. They were prepared to run it wide. And from that, they had that huge kick into touch, which has gained them something like 70 yards.
So it sets Hull up again.
This is where the argument comes. That superb kick like that, they don't get the put in, as the defending side gets the advantage.
Yes, it's something we've commented on, David, throughout the season, that. Graham Hallis, the one Hull Kingston Rovers player who's on his way to Australia for the tour. But again, they appear to be playing into Hull's hands. Nobody has really as yet broken a tackle for Rovers.
Absolutely, very much so. What they're doing is just playing it 1-2, and then the angle is running back into where the defence is strongest and deepest.
Steve Crooks will be delighted with the events of the opening minutes of this game. And Richard Gay decided to leave that ball well alone. He knows they'll have the put in at the scrum.
Another thing you never saw a full-back really allowing the ball to go into touch in the old days. He wanted to pick it up and make the most of it at that particular time. Now they can do that because they do have head and ball, even though the kick has come out of defence, which is a good one.
And it's Hull's ball as well. Stevens, who's made a good start to this match and finds a gap and got the ball away very well indeed. I know he's a Welshman, David, but I'm sure you're delighted by what you've seen from him.
Well, that was very good, because that's taking the man on the outside and putting the pass outside the man, which means that the man taking the ball is on the outside of his own defender and he can make ground going forward.
He's had a very good start to the match, Stevens. He made his debut, actually, against Rovers on New Year's Day. Since then has had limited opportunities. Of course, they're nurturing him. Quarter of an hour gone, Hull in front, 6 points to 0. There could be an interception for Rovers here, though, as Cook goes. He's got Mackey to take on, and an excellent tackle by Mackey. The wingman just couldn't get away. Otherwise, Rovers might have been on the sheet, and they do have a penalty kick.
That's sometimes the problem when you do decide to play a very expansive game, as they are doing. You tend sometimes to pass for the sake of passing. And let's just watch this. I mean, he's picked up that loose ball, he goes through, but Mackey superbly coming across, covering behind the rest of the line, has caught him.
The decision is to go for goal. There's a slight breeze against Mike Fletcher, who's not been as productive this season in terms of goals as in others, but he hasn't had as many tries to attempt to convert. He's kicked 67 so far. Just going to drift wide. So Eastwood taking it, sets Hull in motion again. And Rovers still not on the board.
Well, he's a very positive winger, is Eastwood. I mean, he does most things very well indeed. He defends very well, he's very strong. Some people say he's not as quick as most wingers in the game, but he makes up for that with his all-round play and his effort.
Still Hull Kingston Rovers 0, Hull 6. There again, Andy Dennett almost smuggled the ball away. And they just seem to be looking rather better in trying to get their passes into Hull. Here again you see how they've stretched them to create some space down that right touch line.
Right, that's the difference. They're standing deeper, they are bringing the man on and taking the ball on the outside all the time, which stretches a defender.
And then when Eastwood kicks, it's long, and Cook fumbles to knock on. And he went piling in there, and there's trouble here with McNamara and Fletcher involved, though they were not the instigators. And we've had the feeling that this one was bubbling. And it's come to the boil.
I must admit the tackle was a little bit... Just watch it now. He attempts to catch it the first time, he doesn't, he knocks it on. He has to recover very quickly. Now the man's on the floor. There really wasn't any need to dive on him like that, I don't think. You could have stood up to him and held him down, because he would have had to play the ball anyway.
Yes, it was Lee Jackson, as we saw in that replay, who went diving in, and he should really have heard the referee's whistle at that point.
Well, I think that was a very good decision, quite frankly. I know the crowd are booing against it. I think the referee is perfectly right in doing that. He did go in. He really could have stood above him, because the man would have had to play the ball. He was crossed in on the ground and he'd knocked on. They'd have had the scrum anyway.
That's absolutely right, David. The referee had already awarded the scrum for the knock-on. And the ball has been placed for Fletcher to find his touch. Parker. This time he kicks over the top of Richard Gay. Oh, and Gay's done superbly well again from full-back, and up the middle he goes. Brilliant work from Gay, who switches the play. He's got 50 yards there, and that was exemplary full-back play.
Well, that's the sort of enterprise this boy shows, actually. He ran then, took the defence on. They didn't come up as they should have come up for the kick forward. There was only 3 men came up, and once he got on the outside of those 3, everybody else was split up. Very fortunate then, Hull KR were to stem that.
Hull are 6 points up and carrying the fight to Rovers again now. They're certainly not going to go down to Division 2 without a terrific fight. And all the time, of course, we bear in mind points difference. There were calls of a forward pass. It wasn't given. Oh, yes, it was. Well, I don't know whether the referee was encouraged by the crowd to give that.
Gay has picked it up now. Look, he's gone round the 3 that have come up in the attack. They've missed out. Look how the field is broken. It allows him to run up the middle in a channel. Fortunately, Stodgy comes in off the wing to stop the man taking the pass on the ball, and that was the only way they could plug it.
Stodgy knocked his man over and picked up the ball. He served his side well there. 6 tackles from this point for Rovers. Chris Harrison, the first of them to drive it in. But we've not as yet seen a flowing movement from Rovers at all. Parker. Now it's to Paul Fletcher.
No, this must be a game plan, because otherwise it's not very good stuff. It's certainly not good stuff to watch. Are they hoping to wear down the Hull side? That can be the only thing, because they're charging down the middle all the time.
So Rovers moving the ball along to Wayne Parker again, who drives it in once more. Still not a lot of imagination here on the Robins side. They've really got to put some more pressure on. Oh, but the pressure's going to be on themselves now. That was Hallis's kick, intercepted, and Ronson has got a long, long way to go. He's already gone 50, 60, he's going to go all the way. Ronson's second try, and a killer blow to Rovers.
Hull KR's negative tactic of driving it in and kicking on the 6 poorly at that allowed Ronson to pick it up on the full and sprint away. The question is, can he beat the cover? He does, and scores.
Eastwood has kicked one from an identical position. And he's really got the measure of it. A splendid conversion from Paul Eastwood again, and it takes Hull into a 12-point lead.
Well, Hull KR have been a little negative. This was another kick ahead on their 5th, 6th play of the ball. Ronson takes the ball. Now it's only a matter whether he can sustain this all the way up before the defence can come back and catch him. He slows down a little bit, but he knows he's far enough in front of the defence that he's going to cross for a try. He's delighted, Hull are delighted.
Eastwood. 2 towering kicks from Paul Eastwood today. It shows he's in form for the Australian trip. Mike Fletcher. Rovers have a lot to do now to get back from 12 points down. And so often in derby matches, the results have gone against the form book, and it's certainly going that way at the moment.
It is, but that was interesting then when Eastwood put that kick forward. Every Hull player virtually moved up in a line together, forced Fletcher across the field, and that certainly isn't what Hull Kingston Rovers are doing when they kick the ball forward. It's going up in 1s and 2s, allowing Hull to break away from the situation.
Well, they are certainly playing for Steve Crooks, there's no doubt about that, and it's got to be said that Noel Cleal did say that Steve Crooks was the man who ought to get the job after him.
Well, yes, I think the players have come out with a positive attitude and a frame of mind, and they've certainly putting together that in the way of their football and their ability to move the ball.
And it's Hull's ball. Can they get another score before half-time? Stevens juggled with it. Goes on the outside, collared by Parker and forced into touch.
Well, not one of his better runs, because of course that was on the first ball after the scrum. which means now that Hull Kingston Rovers will get the head and the ball in this situation, and that means that Hull Kingston Rovers don't have 5 more to play with.
Out for Rovers this time. Surely no way through for Crane. He put it down, and then Paul Eastwood, who had the chance to make ground up the middle, fumbled it.
I think he was fortunate then when Paul Eastwood, because even though he knocked on, of course, when the ball came out of the hand of the Hull Kingston Rovers players, it meant that the first advantage or the first incident was taken, and as a result, Hull have got the scrum head and ball.
This Rovers a look more tense than Hull at the moment, and here's Sharp. Oh, he flung the ball out and rather haphazardly went behind Mackey. Otherwise, Hull might have been cantering towards the line again.
Well, that's 2 elementary mistakes now Hull have done, and their game mustn't go away from them. Sharp goes away here, and look, Mackey didn't know whether to take it or whether it was meant for the wing, and the result of which neither took it, and the ball rolled harmlessly into touch.
Rovers still haven't got a point. Graham Hallis, this big, strong centre, 6'1" and 13'7". From Richardson now to Des Harrison, and he's a big fella too, and Des Harrison has made an excellent break this time. He can't quite get past the tackle. He got past Gay, but not past Lee Jackson. That's the first really positive run we've had from a Rovers player. They're trying to put pressure on the whole line. Parker cutting back in field.
Well, yes, they've run and hammered away at the middle so many times. I suppose it just had to come. Harrison was the one that made it happen, and he went down the middle.
And I've just been looking at Des Harrison. He's in trouble. Hallis isn't in trouble. He's going towards the line. This will be a score. Rovers are on the board, and their first try has gone to Julian Barkworth.
Well, it all resulted in Harrison's run down the middle, then the more ball came out. Now this Hallis makes the break that one is expecting. He is now a Great Britain international to be. He made the break, perfect timing of his pass. Julian Barkworth takes the ball, crosses and gets as near the post as he can.
So Julian Barkworth's 6th try of his first season in rugby league, and one that Hull Kingston Rovers desperately needed. It looks as though they've changed tactics just a little bit.
Well, the thing was as well, if you remember, they made 2 elementary mistakes, Hull did, and lost possession of the ball in Hull Kingston Rovers' half. Hull then took that advantage and made the most of it.
And Fletcher has made the most of his kick as well, and it's now Hull Kingston Rovers 6, Hull 12.
Well, this is a super run we'll see now by Graham Hallis. He really takes on the defence on the outside. Look, outside his man he goes. The defence can't stop him. Mackey comes across, perfectly delivered pass, and Barkworth goes over and has the good, sound common sense to realise there's not many about, make it easier to convert.
Mackey has got Rob Nolan moving now. With 2 Nolans out there. Mackey showed it cleverly and then changed tact. And he kicks high, and that's a nasty one, and Sodge, it bounced off him, and nobody from the Rovers side should pick it up. Well, I thought not, but they did do. And to be yards in front of where the ball was knocked forward.
I think what the referee had called anyway for the knock-on, first of all, from Sodge. Just watch this now, the kick goes up, Mackey had beaten the man first, Sodge did definitely propel it forward, and the referee had, look, his decision was made prior to anybody falling on the ball.
He's going to have words with the touch judge, and Mackey certainly has been one complaining about the decision. Wayne Parker's gone over to inquire as to what's gone on here. Scrum given with the put into Hull.
I think he was right then. He'd made his decision first, and I think when the Hull Kingston Rovers player fell on the ball, he'd seen already that the referee had made the decision.
Is there a sting left in the first half even now as Hull come, and this is Nolan. Rob Nolan, it's the last action of a very, very good first half indeed, with Hull taking the early honours, and they lead 12-6 at the break, which really does set us up for the second 40 minutes of the game. 12 points to 6 it is to Hull then, with those 2 tries from David Ronson and 2 towering goals from Paul Eastwood. Hull Kingston Rovers coming back with Julian Barkworth's try and a goal from Mike Fletcher. Hull KR 6, Hull 12. What a second half in prospect. Join us for it after the break. Welcome back to Craven Park, and it's Hull Kingston Rovers who have it all to do in the second half in this derby game. They trail by 6 points to 12, and we can hear from a man who must be rather pleased with the way his side has approached the task today. That's Steve Crooks, the caretaker coach of Hull.
Steve Crooks, fairly satisfied at half-time?
No, not by a long way. Not by a long way. Nice to be in front and nice to have the right. You know, we've got 6 points advantage, but I feel as though we've let them off too lightly. 6 points on their scoreline is not good enough, and also we just lost field position too much. Basically, too many errors and too many soft penalties.
So what instructions have you given them now?
Just to cut that out, just to cut the soft penalties out, and just play another 40 minutes without the soft penalties and with a bit more ball control.
Thanks very much indeed, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. He's a hard taskmaster.
Well, I think he's quite right, really, because they did two unprofessional parts of play, allowed Hull Kingston Rovers to come back in, and they came with a spring and a bounce in their step then for the last 10 minutes of that half. But George, it is an important time at half-time, because you can sit down, you can really be analytical about what's happened, but you've really got to go out the second half and put it all into practice.
We start again from the boot of Mike Fletcher. The first catch is made, and it was Rob Nolan who fed John Sharp. John Sharp, who very much a Featherstone lad, of course. The statistics of the half, Hull Kingston Rovers edging the scrums 8-4. Neither hooker took one against the head. The penalty count was 6 against Hull, reflecting what Steve Crooks said, against 2 by Rovers. And Hull have also made more errors, 9 to Rovers 5. Well, that tells a tale, as the ball is thrown out left for Peter Spring, who barges off the first man. The tackler was Fletcher, Paul Fletcher. And then he's ramrodded back towards his own 25. And the Hull Kingston Rovers bench, it's George Fairbairn, who looks as tense as always. It's a very difficult job being the coach of any side, but he's done a manful job at Craven Park this season. Well, this first division season could go really all the way to Monday, when Hull Kingston Rovers are at home again here against Bradford Northern. Hull themselves are at home to Castleford on Monday night. Peter Spring has served his side superbly well there and fed Mackie, and this is better from Hull, and the ball is spinning through the hands. McNamara has worked it out, and Ronson's got Mighty going. Mighty kicks ahead, and Ronson leads the charge for Hull, and look, it just goes dead. The ball squirted from Harrison's grasp. Hallis did the right thing in coming through and diving onto the ball. So it means there will be a scrum. And a change being made by Hull, with the youngster Dean Busby coming on in place of Russ Walker. Busby, the under-21 international. So both subs on for Hull. But neither of Rovers' subs has yet been utilised. Mackie, he's the one you feel who pulls all the strings. Rovers intercept though. That was rather lucky for them as well. If there'd been a kick ahead there, they might have been struggling to get back to defend against it.
Well, Steve Crooks says they've given too much away, and again they did a silly thing then. The ball was a drop behind us. Good job they playing Mackie as a sweeper, because he picked up the mistake.
Harrison. Paul Fletcher. Fletcher, who works as a forklift truck driver and often does shifts at work before he comes and plays in games. Oh, that's a bruising run from Chris Harrison. He takes some stopping.
Yes, he's run strongly all afternoon. He's been the main threat, really, of being able to push tackles off and make ground.
Here's danger. Gaze underneath it, and again he makes a very, very good catch. He's not put a foot wrong today.
Well, not only did he catch that then, under all that pressure, he still kept this side of the line, which meant that they had to play the ball and not to drop out under the sticks.
The ball lost that in the tackle, and he beats the ground in frustration more than anything else, I think.
And rightly so. That was an elementary error. They'd done so remarkably well by bringing that ball out of the air. And of course, Ronson then tried to get the pass out in his own 25 when there really was no need to do that.
Hero of the first half, very much the villain there, and it's given Hull Kingston Rovers the chance here from only 15 yards out. They have the put in at the scrum. Parker takes it, and Parker, he's held up no more than 4 or 5 yards from the line. This is Rovers' chance now. Speckman's going for it, the longer ball. Sodji's in! Now it's a forward pass, and Sodji flings the ball to the ground in despair. What a chance that was for the Robins.
Hull are very lucky. They've made the elementary mistake. They put themselves under pressure. The long pass comes out. I couldn't see too much wrong with that, quite frankly. And I'm sure everybody will be disappointed in red and white.
Zucema will be the substitute. He was out last week with ankle trouble. He's also had a shoulder problem for most of the season. He's on now. And the man who's gone is Chris Harrison. A pristine white shirt standing out as Rovers again heel it from the scrum. And look for some inspiration from Crane. Sodji took the pass and then managed to escape eastward, and off he goes. Sodji up the middle, the crowd roar when he's got the ball in his hands. Crane got it back from him. Zucema for the first time. Minutes gone in the second half, and it's Rovers who are trying to throw the ball around but didn't seem to have many options then. Parker. It's such a tight game with only the 6 points in it. Hull, just to remind you, in front by 12 points to 6, but Rovers have got a penalty, and it's going to be a straight kick. Oh, especially now they've spoken out of turn of Hull, and that's going to present a much easier prospect for Mike Fletcher. Well, another classic example, really, wasn't it? It was the fifth tackle. There was only one more to come. Why did he really have to do anything at all to play the ball? And to answer back is suicidal. It's now given them a penalty, and if he turns this into a point, it'll be well worth it, because they have put the pressure under Hull to start the second half off. Spring was the offender. Fletcher has kicked one today. Looks easy enough, and it is, and Hull Kingston Rovers now have 8 points to Hull's 12, and it's getting closer and closer. Well, Noel Clew paid tribute to Peter Spring. He said he had a very slow settling in process here. When he rang him to come, he was on the beach, I think, Bondi Beach, and he'd had a few beers and a few good meals out, but since then he's settled down, but that's not what they wanted from him. Hull indeed do take off John Sharp, number 13, to allow Russ Walker back on, so number 12 for number 13. And a very important 10 minutes for Russ Walker and the rest of his Hull colleagues. But remember, they still lead by 4 points, 12-8 it is. And it's been really backs to the wall for them. You wouldn't like to be a Hull supporter at this moment. With just one game to come on Easter Monday at home to Castleford, and again to remind you can see that and Hull Kingston Rovers against Bradford Northern on Scrumdown on Monday. It's all happening here on Humberside. Jackson's pass, it looked as though it might have been forward. The referee was right there and said no. And that's the best forward movement we've had from Hull for a long time in the game. Is thrown, and the penalty is awarded to well, I was going to say the Hull Kingston Rovers. That was the way the referee is pointing. He's going to have words with Fletcher about it. Well, 4, 5, 6 people nearly involved in this tackle. The fagger breaks out here. There was no doubt a punch was thrown there. Card is being shown as well to Nolan, who was obviously seen by the referee as the aggressor in that incident, and Nolan gets 10 minutes in the sin bin, which effectively is the rest of the match, and 10 minutes also for Paul Fletcher, so both sides reduced to 12 men. Well, that'll make it even more interesting. Let's just go through it once again here. Something must have happened in here. Nolan must have done something first of all. Can we pick it up? Yes, it was he that took the first swipe, and the second one was a retaliation. Now there might be some space. Oh, the ball bounced unkindly, really. But still, he's made something of it, Barkworth. Oh, he's made a lot of it. Very exciting run indeed from the former rugby union man, Julian Barkworth. Parker's out of the action for the moment, receiving treatment. Speckman, up the middle he goes. 5 tackles gone. Which way are they going to go? Well, they're going to come left. And the kick will be allowed to go into touch by Eastwood. And we've had so many of those sort of kicks in this match.
Yes, we have really. A little ill-directed again, quite frankly. There was no pressure under that to go into touch. But that's all it's done really, is giving Hull now the opportunity with head and ball to do something with it themselves. This was a good run by Barker. He suddenly ran across looking for the gap. Then all of a sudden he saw that too many people weren't going to give chase, straightens up and comes up the middle.
Busby. Hull just will be keen to hold on to this ball for as long as they can now. They'll certainly want to keep it for these 6 tackles. We don't expect to see too many speculative passes at the moment.
Well, that's what they've done all afternoon, John. They've done that, made those speculative passes, trying to get rid of the ball, when really they should have hung on to it and just steadied things up.
Of course, it's a very interesting and moot point as to what Hull Kingston Rovers want out of this match, in the way that if Hull go down, they lose the revenue from 2 derby matches. Everybody loves a derby match.
I don't think they'll worry too much about that, quite frankly. Mackey comes here now. He's brought down to the ground. It's a heavy tackle on Mackey here. That's the situation. He was trodden on. That's what linesmen really do have to pick up, those circumstances.
Two more tackles to come. Lee Jackson, and he knows only too well that that's all he's got to do, is just carry on running. It doesn't look pretty, but it's certainly effective. On the last tackle, now is the time to kick, and it will be Mackey who'll do that. And he kicks, and it's as good a kick as he would have wanted.
Yes, that's what he wanted, really. It's there he's showing with his hands, slow it all down. Let's keep them down here now. Let's make sure we tackle everybody.
Well, it really is one of those performances where it's the result that is all important and not the performance from Hull. It's Rovers who have the penalty.
Yes, Hull tried to kick the ball whilst it was still in the scrum then. The referee awarded a penalty. That means that they get farther up the field now. And with the tap, they've still got 6 play the balls, of course.
But is it too late for Rovers? They didn't really get into their stride at all for half an hour in this match. And they've not shown a great deal of imagination in the second half. They've scored only 1 try, but now they come with Fletcher, who does show some enterprise. But what relief there will be from Hull's point of view at the final hooter if they hold on to this scoreline. Seconds left. Are Hull going to hang on to their first division status? They are in front by 4 points in the match. Hallis has the ball in his hands for Rovers. Is there a late sting in the tail?
It's desperate stuff. They're chasing everybody everywhere now, Hull.
But if Hull win, they will not care. They'll feel as though they've held on to the first division position that they have. And now, as Cook knocks on, that surely is a last chance gone for Hull Kingston Rovers on this day.
On the 2 substitutes now coming, the 2 players who have been sent off and sin binned are back on the field, so both sides are now back up to 13 aside.
Oh, it's amazing. They went off with 8 minutes to go. So we almost had at least 2 minutes of time added on. Hull's ball, the referee not happy with the scrum. If Hull do, and I'm certainly not going to call this a famous victory, it's been one that they've had to work every inch of the way for. But it's not, as we've said before, been a great spectacle. They don't care about that, they just want the 2 points, and they want to hear that hooter. But all the pressure now very much on Bradford Northern and Featherstone. Hull have won, they've won the day, and it looks as though they're going to be in the first division again. The arms are raised aloft, and it's the black and whites of Hull who celebrate on Humberside tonight. And has there ever been a harder fought victory or a more important victory in a Humberside derby for the Airlie Birds? And the story of it really was those 2 tries in the first half. After that, they've been hanging on every inch of the way. but it's a victory that might be good enough for Hull to stay in the Stones-Bidder Championship for next season. It's 12 points to 8, 2 tries from the Australian David Ronson and 2 goals from Paul Eastwood proved sufficient in the end. Barkworth's try for Hull Kingston Rovers allied to 2 goals from Mike Fletcher.
So, but I don't suppose you enjoyed it very much, did you?
No, I didn't, mate. No. I'll allow myself a smile now. And these are the fellas what's done it. That was in question today, and they've dug deep and they've come up with the right result. There's nothing about me here. It's just them fellas out there, and they've done tremendous for themselves.
They're interesting character, didn't they?
A lot of pride, mate. A lot of pride at stake, and mate, there's two sets of players coming off here what worked very, very hard, and fortunately enough we got the result. Maybe we wanted a little bit more than them, or it was a bit smarter early on, and I'm very happy, and they've done it for themselves.
Well, Steve Crook said they had to dig deep, and dig deep they did. David, what are your impressions?
Well, Hull's early expansive game gave them 2 early tries, and this ultimately won it. Hull KR were more positive in the second half, but they couldn't turn pressure into points, and that allowed Hull really their survival in the First Division.
Graham, I'm sure you were looking for the double today over Hull. I mean, what was the verdict in the dressing room as to what went wrong?
Game plan. We never stuck to a game plan which we'd worked on all week, and this morning we intended to play them out wide, and that we never did. The only time we got it out wide, we scored.
I came in the dressing room about an hour before kickoff, and it seemed very tense in here. The mood.
Oh, it's been tense all week. Obviously, the most stressful week the players and the club's had for some time, and today's game was the most important for us.
Well, obviously they caused us a slide into Division 2 2 or 3 years ago. We'd have liked to have seen them go into Division 2 this time, but they are a strong side. They've played us out of the game today, and they deserve the 2 points.
And you'll be looking to finish on a high note in the last game against Castleford.
Well, it's been a funny season because, I mean, if we get the 2 points against Castleford, we'll shoot a fair way up the ladder, and it won't look as if we were threatened with relegation at all, so it'd be great.
Do you feel safe now?
Well, you catch at the end of the season. Well, hopefully Bradford do Rovers again on next Monday, so we've just got to go from there.
Well, this adds a fillip to you going into your last game against Castleford, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we'll have a good revenge on them.
Yeah, a bit of a celebration tonight, isn't it?
It will be tonight,
yeah. Well done. Thanks very much.
The details reveal that it was a match of many scrums, 28 in all, 15 won by Rovers, 13 by Hull, predictably none going against the head. There was a much more emphatic look about the penalty count, whereas Hull conceded 11, Rovers were offenders only twice and not at all in the second half. Hull committed almost twice as many handling errors as Rovers, 17-9. Now, thanks to both clubs for their tackle counts, which show that Lee Richardson effected a phenomenal 42 tackles for Rovers.
From pace setters Halifax 34-14. Wingman David Flange scoring a hat-trick of tries. In the Humberside derby, Hull beat arch-rivals Hull Kingston Rovers. The kick-through is from Australian Scott Gale, and he wins the chase for the ball. Nearly 9,000 at the Boulevard, the biggest crowd of the day, watched Rovers come back in the second half. Good handling from the backs. Julian Barkworth feeds Bright Sodji, and he crosses near the posts for the try. Sadly for Rovers, Fletcher missed the kick. But shortly afterwards, Hull secured their passage to round 2. Paul Harrison took Steve McNamara's pass to go in at the corner. Hull 14, Hull KR 6.
Featherstone set up this try for Innis. And Alan Tate crowned a fine individual performance with a solo effort. He's beginning to look a good buy. Leeds' first win of the season. At Salford, Halifax missed a chance to stay top of the
season. Bradford are still capable of producing some scintillating football when they put it all together, and their second try was as good as anything you could wish to see. Carl Fairbank doing the initial damage, and then the ball being switched around among the backs for Tony Marchant to celebrate his return from injury with an excellent score. 12-0 with Hobbs's goal, and a penalty had been added by the time Swinton were torn apart again. This time, man of the match Neil Summers virtually doing it all himself before giving Marchant his second score in 8 minutes. The nerves were visibly disappearing now, with the 2 points already safely in the bag. Powell and Summers drove Northern forward again. And from the play the ball, player coach David Hobbs brought on Carl Fairbank with a short pass. It enabled the Great Britain man to spread Eagle Swinton's defence for the next score. Within 2 minutes, the Swinton line had been breached again. Tony Anderson, whose pace was a constant feature of the game, made the telling dart up the middle and showed good awareness too to send Summers over. 30-0 at half-time, exactly what Northern had needed. Summers has often looked a good player in a struggling side, and he really hoodwinked the Lancastrians with his next dummy, wriggling his way over to register his own second try. And he completed a genuine hat-trick with another devastating break. Swinton just had no answer to Neil Summers on the night. Northern were now stretching the tiring Swinton with some long passing moves. No doubt Peter Fox had drilled into them the need to build up the points tally in the closing stages. The fleet-footed Anderson again figuring prominently in a touchline dash, capped by a try from the eagerly supporting sub Brett Eaty. David Hobbs' towering goal made him only the 5th player in Northern history to score 1,000 points for the club. Anderson deserved a try of his own, but he again turned out to be the provider rather than the finisher. With a clever little chip at the end of his next run, it got the Swinton cover in a real old dither, and Fairbank was the first to pounce. 54-0 with Hobbs' 9th goal, and just for good measure, Northern made it to round 60, with who knows, perhaps the last ever try at Odsal. There's still talk of a move to Valley Parade. It was scored by Roger Simpson. And Hobbs' excellent 10th goal gives Northern a lifeline and makes the Championship relegation struggle the most intense there's ever been. Bradford Northern 60, Swinton 0.
Much closer at Headingley, 2 Mark Preston tries boost Halifax's playoff hopes after Leeds have Cavill Hugh sent off. Gene Miles, playing loose forward, scores the Wigan try that kills off St Helens in the meeting of the top 2, and St John Ellis gets 2 tries against Wakefield to guarantee Castleford a top 4 finish. The results from the Stones Better Championship: Bradford Northern 60, Swinton 0. Castleford 28, Wakefield 4. Hulkingston Rovers 8, Hull 12. Leeds 16, Halifax 24. St Helens 6, Wigan 16. Warrington 19, Widnes 8. So Wigan with a chance of winning the title by 10 clear points. The top 4 now will finish as the top 4. Leeds will definitely be 5th, but none of the next 3 are certain to make the top 8 and the Premiership. A win on Monday for Hulkingston Rovers could see them finish in the top 8. Swinton, of course, will finish bottom. The other 4 are in the melting pot. If Salford and Bradford both get 2 points on Monday, Featherstone must get a point at Wakefield to survive because their points difference is awful. And if they do that, Hull would play Castleford in the evening, needing a similar result for survival. In Division 2, Eva Apati's 33rd try of the season helps Oldham keep the promotion issue alive. 3 results: Carlisle 22, Rydale York 8. London Crusaders 32, Workington 16. Rochdale 10, Oldham 21. So it goes to the final day, but Oldham would have to beat Lee by 39 points on Monday to pip them for promotion behind Sheffield, who will clinch the championship if they beat Rydale York in Sunday's only game. London Crusaders have overtaken Rochdale to finish 4th. In Division 3, Eddie Rombo runs in 2 tries, including 1 from 70 yards, as Dewsbury grab 3rd place. 3 results: Dewsbury 26, Keighley 7. Huddersfield 30, Hunslet 20. Scarborough 12, Barrow 24. This is the final 3rd Division table. Huddersfield the champions, 4 points clear of the other promoted team Bramley, and the remaining 2 places in the top 4 going to the clubs who've shared Mount Pleasant this season, Dewsbury and Batley. And the line-up for the Stones Bitter Divisional Premiership Round 1 looks like this: Huddersfield against Hunslet, a repeat of today's game, Bramley against Keighley, Dewsbury will play Doncaster, and Batley against Barrow. So it's a dramatic final day on Easter Monday, and Scrumdown will be there. Hulkingston Rovers against Bradford, Northern fighting for their lives, and Hull playing Castleford in the league's very last match, maybe needing victory to avoid the drop. We're on at 10:45, and the tension will no doubt be just as great as we've seen today at Craven Park. Good night.